Welcome back. In this lecture, we would like to spend a couple of minutes and talk about the commit messages that go along with your changes into the commit history or the Git repository. Let us jump in. So let me run the command git status. I'm inside the Git repository that we used in the last lecture, and run the command git log. As you can see, we have two items on our commit history, and you can see the messages as well. The very first one says adding cds.txt file, and the second one says added fruits.txt and names.txt. What I'm going to do now is clear this and add one more name to names.txt file. I'll say echo Dennis, and I'm going to append to the file names.txt, run git status. As you can see, it's modified. I'm going to do git add names.txt file. Good. Now I'm going to do git status. Now it's ready to be committed. Now I'll do git commit -m. The message says updated names.txt. Now if I were to clear this and run the command git log, as you can see, the latest commit says updated names.txt. It is appropriate, however, it doesn't add much value here because it doesn't tell the change. It doesn't really, indicate what issue has been addressed, or it doesn't give you much details. In real-time projects, generally things are committed in a different way. I mean to say the messages are entered in a professional way. Let me do this. Let me add one more name to the same file. Instead of Dennis, now I'm going to say Missy. Now here, let me run the command git status. Okay, it's modified. Now we're going to do git add names.txt. Done. But this time I'm going to add a little bit differently. I'm going to say git commit -m, and I'll say added Missy to names.txt. Now let me run the command git log. Now as you can see, instead of just saying updated names.txt, added Missy to names.txt kind of adds more value and more meaning to that particular commit. It kind of pretty much tells you that you added, the name Missy to names.txt file. But we need to go one step further when it comes to production repository. Because every time you make a change to the code, there is always a reason, meaning, some customer or some support person might have opened a ticket with some issue and you are working towards resolving that case. That means you can use that bug number or issue number here. Let me repeat here by adding one more name. Let's simulate that same thing. Let's say Gary. Now here, what we can do is git add dot. It's taken care. Git status. Well, now let us start committing it. Git commit -m. Now, this is where the best practices comes into picture, and every company follows their own best practices. But in the past 10 years, what I have been using, at least in the companies that I worked with, are we generally use the bug number or issue number or a Jira number, whatever bug tracking system your company might be using. You can do that here. You can say Jira, and the ticket number is, let's say it's a 12001. And you can say, so that's the issue that you're working on. You can say, added Gary. Hit enter, and it's done. Now, if you were to pull git log, it kind of adds even more value. You look at the last commit, it says a Jira 12001. So once you pull your ticket, you will see all the details, where it came from, and what issue we are trying to address just by that number. And then you said you added Gary, and tomorrow you might add more fixes into that particular code base towards resolving the issue 12001, you can add more appropriate commits, some messages as you push your commits or changes into your Git repository. Well, so that's what it is. You need to follow some sort of a standard, some sort of best practices. Generally, these are recommended by the company that you work with, and whatever practice that your department might be following, stick to that. And if your department has no standards towards how you add commits, probably you might want to recommend. It's a good practice, and it kind of helps. If you just work for like a month or two on a project, it might not add value, but generally people work on these projects for a long time, and if you're trying to refer to a commit that was done like a couple of months ago, these messages comes real handy, especially when you're referring to a ticket number as a part of your message. It goes a long way, because you can go back there and look at everything that has been tracked based on the ticket, and in combination with this commit message, helps a lot. Well, guys, I know I definitely took more than 2 minutes here, probably 5 plus or 6 plus minutes, but I hope this adds value to your learning. Well, that's it in this lecture. See you in the next.